I am talking about choose to be a conscious center of delight. And certainly Mark is a conscious center of delight. Daniel Nahmod. So, I just have to have a little chair here. Nothing I talked about today is really supposed to be cheerful, but you never know. And that might happen. So I want to define delight for us, which is defined as a high degree of gratification of mind, a high, wrought state of pleasurable feeling, lively pleasure, extreme satisfaction, and joy. Woo-hoo! So I want to tell you a story about Donnie Madison, and this is another Steve Hartman story, so I have my rotation of favorites, and I'm in a Steve Hartman mode right now. So he's talking about Donnie Madison, who was only 36 when he had a stroke. And he lived in Riverside, California, and he came home from the hospital at 36 in a wheelchair and feeling devastated and useless and depressed as well, we can understand. And before he had his stroke, he was a bartender, pretty much going nowhere and really not living a life that was full of delight. So one day, Donnie was sitting in his wheelchair, and they lived across the street from the high school in Riverside, and he heard the crack of an aluminum bat against a ball. Now take a minute and think of that sound. You know it, don't you? The way it sounds, the crack of a bat against a ball has a unique, lovely sound. And it delighted him. So he said to his wife, after sitting there for a couple of days listening to the kids play baseball, he asked his wife to take him in his wheelchair down to the baseball field. And he sat there and he listened and he watched the kids playing baseball. He'd always been sort of a baseball fan. So day after day, Donnie would go down to the baseball field and watch the kids play ball, day after day. And at first the kids were a little uncomfortable. They thought it was a little creepy to see this guy in his wheelchair sitting around watching them play ball, but they got used to it. And then pretty soon the coach started checking with him. And ultimately the coach asked him if he would co-coach with him. So Donnie became co-coach of the Riverside High School baseball team. And then he began to walk because it was very uncomfortable and difficult to coach a baseball team from a wheelchair. So he started walking. And time progressed, and ultimately Donnie went back to school and was getting a teaching degree so that he could teach special ed kids. And he was walking, and he said having that stroke was the best thing that ever happened to him. Oh, well, looky here. Surprise. So Rumi says this: there is a candle in your heart ready to be kindled. There is a void in your soul ready to be filled. You feel it, don't you? So that's what our heart is longing for, is to be filled with delight. There's a certain effervescence about delight, don't you think? I mean, it's different than pleasure. It's different than being happy. There's that effervescent, sort of bubbly feel to delight. And what the truth of it is that living in delight is like living in grace. It's an awareness of the joy of the divine. You think about that word, delight, 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 living in delight, living in grace. So here's some things that delight me. I mentioned it, a crow, a rooster crowing. It just makes me laugh. The only thing I liked about our old place is that we were right across the alley from a rooster. And in the middle of the service, that rooster would crow, and it just made me laugh. It just was so funny. So my dogs delight me. They are just so filled with delight themselves. They just are so excited. First thing in the morning, just jumping all around and jumping so high and so filled with exuberance for life. And I think every morning, wow. I remember when I was a kid having that same awakening with such anticipation and so much excitement about what is the day going to bring. So when I started thinking about talking about delight, I sort of started thinking about awakening with that same excitement and enthusiasm for life. And I made a choice to do that. And you know what? It really makes the day better. It's different than keeping a gratitude journal, because there's that effervescence included in the whole idea of delight. So what delights me today? My dogs. Eating broiled lobster. Watching stuff grow. Denise gave me a geranium, and I've been watching it getting ready to bloom. It's so sweet. It just delights me. Mastering a difficult task, solving a difficult problem, reading for pleasure, drinking tea. I like iced tea, iced green tea. I used to be addicted to Diet Pepsi. Now I can drink green tea, and I've released my addiction to Diet Pepsi. I like sparklers. I'm game for sparklers anytime. They're just so much fun. When you were a kid, did you write with sparklers? Isn't that wonderful? I mean, it's like God is right there. The trail of the divine in sparklers. The aha look when somebody gets it. One of my joys is teaching class here. And when that recognition comes on someone's face, like, oh, I get it. God is who I am. God lives within me. Aha, it's such a joy to see. The smell after it rains, sitting in sunshine. I notice my lovely little dogs find little patches of sunshine to sit in. I absolutely relate to that. Taking a nap in the sun, love that. Now, I don't know that this is a universal delight. I have a couple of personal delights. One is singing into a fan. Have you ever done that? Mark's shaking his head, yes.
Playing piano is not.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I love that. Even I sound good singing into it then. And here's the other one that probably is not universal, but it's watching cornmeal boil. You ever seen cornmeal boil? Exactly. It doesn't like bubble up. It's got like that. And that's exactly how my grandma used to snore. And it just delights me. It makes me laugh every time, and I think of my grandma. And then, you know, the smell of fresh cut grass, the sound of little kids laughing, giggling. I love to giggle too. Rosemary Kennedy said this, and I just think it's very sweet. It delights me. She said, "Birds sing after the storm. Why shouldn't people feel as free to delight in whatever remains to them?" I like that. She had a hard life. Her life was not smooth, but she was willing to delight in what was remaining for her. So once more, just to remind you that living in delight is like living in grace. It is that divine connection, the place where Spirit lives. So I give thanks for this presence within me. I allow myself the loving space to grow, and I allow myself to be in awe at every step I take, in every word I speak, and with every voice I hear. In gratitude, I give back love with every smile, a little dance with every step I take, and a song with every word I speak. Because I acknowledge and know that is God showing up in my life. I am delight. And I also know that it is done unto me as I believe. So that as I live in delight, I am creating more opportunities to see and notice delight. The light of God shining through and within and around my life. The light is a delight because it's God. In Psalms 37, look at me quoting the Bible. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your hearts. So that is using the law that we know to be true, that what you think is what you get. What you focus your attention on is what you attract. So the more that we live in delight, in joy, in enthusiasm, and in gratitude for all that is divine in our world, the more that'll show up for us. The more that we will find delightful experiences. So here's the truth. All week, each one of you shows up in my mind, in my thoughts, and my ideas, and I hold you in prayer. So I can honestly say, each one of you delights me, and I am so grateful for you. Namaste. would invite Steve and Kate to join me as we hold this community in love and consciousness. As I turn within to that special place within me where I know is home for the universal essence that I call God. That place within me where I am connected with the truth of who I am. I turn within to that place of delight, the light. And I know that space and that place is perfect and it's whole and it's complete. Just as I know I am perfect, whole, and complete. And as I know that for myself, I know it for each one of you. You are the light. And God reaches through you in every aspect of your being to express uniquely and perfectly. There's nothing that you must do, no action that you must take. You are God made manifest. That essence lives within you, breathes as you, rejoices through you, laughs and dances and sings as you. When I find myself forgetting that, I turn within and reconnect with that truth, knowing that there is only good. When I forget that, I allow myself to clear away the clouds and the shadows that obstruct my view of the light. And so in joy, in laughter, in peace and in harmony and deep love, I, moment by moment, allow myself to remember that truth. And as I remember that truth about myself, I remember that truth about you, about the entire world. I remember there is absolutely nothing to fear because it is all God. It is the light. And joyfully, with confidence, with the knowing that that is the truth, I celebrate. And I give thanks for it all. I trust fully the wisdom of that universal power that I call God. That universal power that goes by so many names. The Tao, Allah, Jesus, the Christ, God. Whatever the name is given, it is all the same loving thing. It is all good. And I delight in that. I choose to be the conscious expression of delight in the world. As I know this is true for me, I know it is true for you. It cannot be otherwise. And I invite you to celebrate that truth with me by claiming it for yourself and by saying,
And so it is.